Hello friends, in this video lecture we are going to learn about the balancing of rotating masses. So first of all the thing comes to in our mind that why we need the balancing of the rotating masses or balancing of reciprocating masses. Reciprocating would be taken later. So first of all we are going to learn about the rotating masses. You know nowadays what is happening due to very high productive machines. The speeds of the machines are very high. High speed means the rotating or the reciprocating parts in the machine are running at very high speed. So running at high speed means what? They have very high RPM. Now imagine if any small unbalanced mass present in the rotors or the rotating parts of the engine, and suppose the engine speed is more than 20,000 rpm. What will happen? See what happens, even the mass is even not considerable, say the mass is in micro levels, but the force developed due to that mass causes the shafts on which the rotors are mounted to bend. Okay, so we are going to learn everything in very depth in this particular video lecture about the balancing of rotating masses. So we can see in the balancing of rotating mass here, we are going to learn about the static and dynamic balancing. So static balancing means what? When the masses are stationary, not rotating. So in that case, we have to balance the mass which is mounted. That is static balancing. And when the parts are rotating at a very high speed, then that becomes your dynamic, and the balancing becomes dynamic balancing. Okay. So now what is balancing? So what we are doing there in the balancing, once you identify an imbalanced mass in the rotor system, then we are going to place a mass on the opposite side so that the effect of unbalanced mass will get counteracted or nullified. Okay. So that process of putting the mass in the rotor system to balance or to counteract the effect of unbalanced mass is called as the balancing. But the question comes in our mind that why we are adding the mass once we identify the unbalanced mass, why we don't remove that mass from the rotors? The answer is very obvious that when you are removing the mass from the rotors, obviously it will or it would lose its strength. Then it's a design. Maybe due to the removal of that mass, there may be the stress concentration, and the parts may undergo the failures, fatigue failures, creeping failures. So therefore, to avoid that, we always add the mass when you are balancing the rotors, high speed rotors basically. Okay, so that's why we need the balancing. Now with this example, the balancing is now explained very properly. You can see here, suppose this is the rotor, and on which sorry, this is the shaft, and on which this rotor is mounted. Okay, okay, this is the shaft on which this rotor is mounted, and this shaft is running at a very high speed omega, let us assume, and there is one mass. You can see here, this mass, this black colored mass, if it is unbalanced mass on the rotor, even suppose this distance is very small, e distance, that is eccentricity distance, but you know, if the mass is rotating at high speed, it produces centrifugal force which is directed away from the center. So what will happen due to this force? Now you can see the rotor is rotating at high speed, but this force is also now acted on the rotor in the outward direction. So due to this outward direction force present in the rotor system, there may be chances of bending of this shaft. So if suppose there is very small bending, let us assume that there is this very small bending of this shaft. say that is in micro terms. Let us assume that that distance is say point not not 3 mm. That is 3 microns or 3 micrometers. So even suppose there is a small deformation of the shaft, but that will add to this E. Now this distance will be added to this E. So, and you know the centrifugal force, let us assume this as Fc. Centrifugal force, the equation for centrifugal force is m r omega square. Now you know omega is constant, it is the rotor is rotating at a certain speed. Mass is also there, unbalanced mass, that is also constant. But what about this radius? Due to the deflection of this shaft, this radius will increase because radius is nothing but distance of that mass from the center. And due to the deformation, this radius or this distance will be increasing, and that's why the radius will also increase. Okay, so therefore, then this Fc will be more, and if the Fc is more, what will happen to this R or this distance? It will again go on increasing, and so on. This Fc will continue to increase till the failure of this shaft. So this is very dangerous. That's why we have to balance the masses at very high level, micro levels or nano levels. Okay, so that's why we need the balancing. So already we have discussed these things. Now balancing of rotating masses, what we are doing there in the balancing of rotating masses, we attach a certain mass to the rotating shaft so that it will counteract the effect of the unbalanced mass. Okay, so in this procedure, what we do, we attach a mass to the opposite side of the shaft such that it will have a certain position to counteract the centrifugal force due to the first mass. Okay, so the process of providing the second mass in order to counteract the effect of the centrifugal force of the first mass. Now, what is meaning of this first mass? Means unbalanced mass. Okay, unbalanced mass is called as balancing of rotating masses. Okay, so what we do in the rotating balancing of rotating masses? Actually, we do this balancing for different cases. First case is that balancing of a single mass by single mass. Second one is balancing of single rotating mass by two masses. Now a doubt should come in your mind, if we are able to balance a single rotating mass by a single mass, then why we go for the two masses to balance the same kind of mass? So the detailed discussion will be done maybe in the next or next to next slide. Okay, so balancing of different masses rotating in the same plane and balancing of different masses rotating in the different planes. So these four different cases we are going to analyze. Okay, so here um, we are going through the first method, that is balancing of a single rotating mass using a single mass. Okay, so you can see here in this particular figure, let us assume that this is the axis of the rotation of the mass. This m1 is the unbalanced mass. M1 is the unbalanced mass. Okay, the radius of which must be known. So this must be known because we have identified this mass is at this distance which is unbalanced. So R1 is known and M1 is also known. So we are going to put a mass which is exactly opposite to this. Okay, and the mass will be, say, let us assume that M2. Okay, another doubt must come in your mind, that why it should not be M1. Okay, why it should not be M1? See, it is always better to add less amount of mass even for a big amount of unbalanced mass. So how we can do that? Okay, simply, you know, centrifugal force already we have seen. Centrifugal force is the function of mass radius. Okay, and this the omega is constant, mass and radius, or you can say the radius, because mass is also unbalanced mass is constant, but we are going to put the another mass. Okay, so we are going to put a mass which will be, obviously we are going to keep it as less as possible, at a certain distance. Okay, so that m1 r1 must be equal to m2 r2, or we can say m1 omega is also required, omega square. This here is also omega square, but it is constant for both, so omega square cancel. So the important equation here is that m1 r1 must be equal to m2 r2. Okay, m1 is known, r1 is known. Okay, so here in this equation either you can assume m2 or r2. That depends upon the different applications and different needs. Okay, if suppose if you have a lot of space on the rotor, then we have to choose r2 maximum, and accordingly we are going to calculate this m2. And if suppose the standard m2 is available with us, then let us find out r2 and put that m2 at r2 to balance m1 r1. Okay, so the same is explained over here, right? Now next case, balancing of single rotating mass by two masses rotating in different planes. We are going to put the balancing masses in the different planes. So why we are doing that? See, in the previous case, by doing m1 r1 equal to m2 r2, what we have achieved? We have achieved the balance of the centrifugal force. Okay, but due to putting the second mass, what happens? Two centrifugal forces are developed in the rotor system. Okay, two centrifugal forces. So, and those centrifugal forces are rotating at high speeds. So, therefore, then there will be one more force which will affect this rotor, that is the tangential force developed due to these two forces. And those two tangential forces. So, I will draw this figure here. Let us say this is the rotor, this is one force, and obviously we are going to put another for balancing, another centrifugal force, and this rotor is rotating at high speed. So due to the direction, continuously changing direction of these forces, what will happen? The tangential forces will be developed. These two forces will be equal and opposite. These two forces will be equal and opposite, and it will lead the couple. It will lead the couple. So due to this couple, what will happen? Again, this couple would be remained unbalanced in the system, and this couple is very dangerous. Is very dangerous. Okay, so therefore, then we have to balance couple also. That's why we need to go for balancing of a single mass by two masses rotating in different planes, so that not only the centrifugal force but also this couple would be balanced. Okay, so how to do that? Again, there may be two cases that the balancing mass or the balancing masses will be either side of the unbalanced mass or on the one side only of the balanced mass, like this. If you consider this M as your unbalanced mass, then we can put the balancing masses on either sides, on both the sides of the unbalanced mass. So let us assume that L and this capital M are two planes in which we are going to put the masses. Okay, to balance this mass M, let us assume M1 and M2 are the balancing masses which we are going to put at a distances of R1 and R2. Let us assume that this distance is or this radius is R1, and this radius, that is distance of this M2 from rotor axis, is R2. Okay, so first of all you must know that the centrifugal force must be same, or uh, the centrifugal force due to unbalanced mass must be counteracted by the centrifugal force developed due to M1 and M2. That is Fc1, or let us assume that Fc is due to this M. Fc must be equal to Fc1 plus Fc2. Fc1 plus Fc2. Okay, Fc1 is due to the first rotating masses, and Fc2 is due to the second rotating mass. Okay, so this is about the static balance. This is the static balance, because now we have only balanced the centrifugal force. But what about the couple? So to do that, in this particular equation, what happens then if you put the values, m omega square r for this Fc, Here it will be m1 omega square r1, and for fc2 m2 omega square r2. So omega square is common from all, so it will be taken common and then it is cancelled. So mr must be equal to m1 r1 plus m2 r2. Okay, but here m1 and m2 are unknown, so you can see over here, in this equation m1 and m2 are unknown because or r1 and r2 are unknown. If you uh, fix the radii r1 and r2, then we have to find out the m1 and m2. Okay, r1 and r2 must be known because that is our decision. At what distance we have to put the m1 and r1, m1 and m2. Okay, so those distances must be known. So we have to find out then m1 and m2. Now see, equation is only one, but two are unknown. So to solve such a problem, then what we are going to do, we are going to take the moment about one of the unknown masses. Okay, so then let us assume that we are taking moment about, first of all, about p. Okay, at this point, then we'll get this equation fc1 into L. So we have assumed these distances are L1 and L2. fc1 into L, so this total distance, minus fc into L2, or equal to fc into L2. Okay, so therefore then we'll get finally this equation for m1. Okay, m1 r1 must be equal to mr L2 by L. Okay, and if you put these values again in the equation, what will get for m2? m2 r2 is equal to m into r into L1 upon L. So simple equations you will get. Okay, so therefore once you assume r1 and r2, we can easily find out m1 and m2. Okay, now here what happens, as the balancing masses are in the different planes, then it will not produce the couple, right? So therefore it will balance completely the unbalanced mass, right? And the couple will not be produced. So therefore this is the complete system for a single mass. That's why we maximum times go for balancing of a single mass using two masses rotating in the different planes. Okay, now next assumption is that the unbalanced mass is on one side of the balancing masses. Okay, even if you analyze this case in the same way, you will get the same equations. There is no change at all. There is no change at all. Okay, you will get the same equations. We can see over here. Um, First equation m1 r1 is equal to mr L2 by L, and m2 r2 must be equal to mr L1 by L. The same equations you are going to get. So this is about the balancing of rotating masses, and that too for a single masses. For the another type of for the next analysis, we're going to see the next coming video lectures. Okay, so thank you for watching this video lecture. Thank you so much.